Mind, Body, Life show hosted by Frederick Entenmann on Global Voice Radio on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern. During his show, Mind, Body, Life founder and best-selling author Frederick Entenmann investigates the little-known insights and daily methods used to create explosive life transformations and transitions with those that have risen from struggle and ascended to greatness. Here is your Mind, Body, Life host, Frederick Entenmann.
Welcome to Mind, Body, Life. This is episode 10, and I am your host, Frederick Entenmann. I am a former professional athlete. I am a best-selling author of Surviving Sports in the Game and Life, and a coach and consultant. I help athletes, executives, and future leaders achieve mind, body, and life harmony. Again, I want to welcome you to episode 10. Today, I'm going to discuss holistic harmony and balance and wellness, and also has modern life in America depleted vitality. I think overall, whenever I speak to individuals, just the term alone, holistic, tends to cause a little confusion, but holistic living applies to each person's life certainly differently. But the theory of it remains the same. In order to create a harmonious life, one must examine all aspects of their lifestyle choices. And this goes from food to relationships to activity levels. And this doesn't mean to jump on the latest diet bandwagon and enroll in a fitness boot camp. That's not it at all. This certainly means to stop and really think about what you put in your body and what activities you participate in and what you feel like when you're around people or you surround yourself with, and so on. I mean, basically, holistic is defined as a knowledge of the interconnectedness of something, as the parts of something explicable only by reference to the whole. And looking at your life in a holistic way means that you take everything into consideration. Holistic living refers to your mind and body, spirit and life, sets, and interconnectedness in your health and wellness in relation to your entire being. So the term holistic living has certainly gained popularity within the past few years, and this is for a good reason, because when you apply the concept of ultimate health to your entire being, you aren't only able to fight disease and avoid illness, but you're also able to feel better, live with more joy, and actually your transformation will be contagious. And to fully understand the concept of holistic, I guess a good analogy would be to think about the way a car works. So you don't just wash the exterior and hope for the best, right? You change the oil, you get a tune-up, you make sure you don't ride the brakes, so on and so forth. But if you're only to focus on the part of the machine, or the other parts would certainly soon experience problems. When you look at your car's functioning holistically, though, you can keep it in pretty good shape. And actually the same applies when you practice holistic living. And once you decide to adapt in that shift in a lifestyle holistically, it becomes really apparent where you should make the changes. But when you actually stop and listen to your body and reflect a little bit and get quiet, it might have more to say than you expect. And I know I talk a lot about mindfulness. Mindfulness, it isn't just about meditation. Meditation can be the vehicle to get you there, but there's other practices and techniques you can actually apply to your life as well. And since mindfulness is about existing in the present moment, it can really open your eyes to what your life looks like day to day. So focusing on what you are experiencing in this given moment can help you get through hardships. Now, it might sound odd, right? But focus on the pain you experience in order to feel better. Yes. When you practice acceptance of the present moment, you're able to get through it a lot better, I promise. And it's actually avoidance that ultimately draws the experience out. So I get asked a lot, what are some things that can help practice mindfulness? And it can actually be simple exercise. It can be yoga, it could be meditation, deep breathing, even acupuncture or massage. Just listen to your body. This is huge. And I'm sure we all know, especially here in America, we all know the feeling of being run down, but feeling like we have too much to do to sit and relax. I actually hear this a lot from CEOs and executives and entrepreneurs. Our body feedback loop, if it's trained in that response, that's what you're going to continually get. And our body communicates with us constantly, from pumping the adrenaline when we stop, from crossing the street without looking to feeling tired and worn out. Your body has an infinite number of unknown possibilities, but it's constantly looking to you for the direction based off the feedback that you give it. So taking your body's cues, for example, whether that means finding it with healthy and nourishing foods, or giving it time to relax, or practicing self-care. Me time is very important to allow your body to live its fullest potential. And I'd say way up there on the top of the list is clean eating, because we actually represent what we're consuming. And along with the term holistic living, clean eating is commonly used in the wellness and fitness worlds. And clean eating doesn't mean to only eat salads and fruits. It means choosing whole foods rather than the processed foods I call frankenfoods. Most of the processed foods actually are intertwined and have the dark fingers of big pharma in them. Believe it or not, the biggest source of pharmaceutical drugs are actually in your food sources. So pay attention. Have you ever taken a look at the ingredients list on your favorite snacks? Because the chances are the list runs on and on. And when you choose clean eating to add to your holistic lifestyle, you should look for foods that only have a handful of ingredients, and also ingredients that you can pronounce, by the way. While clean eating does include consuming greens, healthy fats and proteins, it shouldn't, and it doesn't have to feel like a chore. If anything, it's going to make you feel great, and that's what you should look for every time. It's kind of the point, right? To feel better. And this holistic lifestyle can be accessible to you just by making a few small changes in your life. You don't have to jump into an extreme diet or exercise routine, or even join a gym for that matter, to even reap the benefits of holistic living and what it can provide. Okay. The simplest changes can make the biggest difference, actually. And I've been doing this for like 20 years. So just go ahead and take a few minutes a day to do something that makes you happy. That's really the main point. You should never be doing something that doesn't make you happy. Try something new. Also, like acupuncture or different types of massage. Focus on a clean eating plan, or just go outside, take a walk, and breathe deep without your phone or distractions. Promise you'll feel better. And these type of inquiries, has really led me to my life's work, especially with founding Mind Body Life, is that how modern life here in America, even in North America for a lot of have a lot of Canadian friends. I'm constantly speaking to people, but how has modern life depleted your vitality? It's really a question to look at and not judge, but take a step back and reflect. You know, I certainly know vitality when I see it, and I'm sure others do as well. It's kind of like the effervescent 75-year-old who swims 2 miles a day. It's the kind of that inspired artist or florist whose passion for daylilies has you buying them by the dozen, right? It's enigmatic. It's the empathetic friend whose centered, calm demeanor seems to radiate that inner peace. And it's these people with vitality that overflow with that special something, and they stand out from the rest like shiny pennies these days. All of which leads one to wonder, actually, why do some people have more vitality than others? Because I think also in America, we seem to think vitality is often broadcast via, physical traits, such as sparkling eyes or radiant skin and energetic demeanor. And it's tempting to chalk it all up to good health. But there's more to vitality than just this robust physiology, because not all clinically healthy and ostensibly fit people seem particularly vital after all. Let me tell you, in some physically frail individuals still manage to emanate an extraordinary life force. If you haven't noticed or been around someone like that, to be sure, good health is a vitality enhancer, and healthy choices generally lead more directly to vitality than unhealthy ones. But in many ways, the physical body becomes this mere display case for vitality's many treasures. And good physical health can help signify vitality, but it certainly can't deliver all of vitality's goods. And this is why, actually, at about this time of the year, my background is sports performance training, and I not only worked for universities, but I also ran my own practice as well, to where I'd have clients. And this time of the year always reminds me of, again, the good physical health is a misnomer. Actually, that's what people seek when they think about vitality, and that's the reason why they burn out this time of the year, because they're just not feeling completely, wholly good as they thought they would, because they're going to those boot camp classes all of a sudden and doing 20 in a month, and that's all an individual will focus on, and it's going to lead to burnout and fatigue on the back end. But anyway, it can't, just in the physical terms, my point is it can't deliver all of vitality's goods, okay? So where do these goods come from, and where do they go? Do certain habits or circumstances make us more vulnerable to losing our vitality over time? And then if so, what's the secret to sustaining our vitality, or to even get it back? And these are all questions I write about. I study. My recent book that will be coming out will be regarding vitality. But it's these compelling questions about vitality and the depletion of the average American in general, with their mind, body, and life. It's been my mission with founding Mind, Body, Life, of answering these questions and getting to the bottom of things, helping people create this holistic lifestyle that actually rewards them the way they want and envision. But before we go searching for answers, I think perhaps we should spend at least a little time contemplating the nature of vitality itself. And I'm going to break this down for you. You know, in order to understand vitality, you almost have to understand some general Eastern concepts that go back over 6,000 years. And although the general concept of vitality is universal, it's expressed quite differently from culture to culture. Here in the West, vitality often refers to the strong supply of physical energy, like I said, vigor and resilience. But in the East, what the Chinese call qi and healers in India call prana actually refers more generally to an ineffable life force whose currents sustain and suffuse both the physical and in the non-physical aspects of every living thing. And the popularization of like yoga or tai chi and meditation has just begun offering more Americans a taste of these practices that can help us understand and kind of cultivate this sort of vitality. But I think all in all, we still tend to compartmentalize it as something that's found in, spas or exercise regimens or special diets and the liking, rather than, again, as a core component in the determiner of our everyday existence. In America, vitality simply it's just the sprinkling or that frosting on the cake of life, and not as in Eastern cultures. It's actually the main ingredient. It's in the ancient traditions of again, China and India, as well as in the traditions of many other indigenous cultures. The vitality-related concerns encompass everything from environment and attitude to personal integrity and spiritual purpose. And again, I've been tuning in lately with my shows. Purpose is key. The Western medical experts who absolutely persist in categorically lumping health and vitality together, they actually further feed our confusion about vitality's true foundations. And although I haven't been to a doctor since 2012, but I'm saying, namely, as a society, okay, the white coat doctors judge our health by what we don't have. And I mean that with great respect, not to judge, because it is the Western medical system, but it's a very flawed and outdated system as well. So going back, so if you don't have high blood pressure or diabetes, the doctors figure you must be healthy, right? And send you on your way after all these diagnoses. But what most Americans fail to understand, I think, if you have clean arteries but have a life without purpose, you're still missing a key ingredient for vitality, and the deeper meaning that I see so many lacking. We haven't always been so confused about how the overlapping territories where health and vitality meet. Actually, the World Health Organization Constitution, it dates from 1946. And it defines true health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. And unfortunately, since this definition was committed to paper, much of the conventional health field appears to have vastly underestimated the importance of most of the non-physical components of that particular vitality prescription. Personally, I like Greek words for life to describe the symbiotic relationship between health and vitality. Again, for those that don't know me or have tuned in, I actually gone to 2 German universities and I achieved the highest level in those through higher learning. So I like Greek words, particularly bios, which means physical life. And when you look at this one, it's Z-O umlaut E, so it'd be zoe, loosely translated as a person's essence. Bios is the root of the word biology, and that refers to basically the body's nuts and bolts, the organs, the arteries, the cells, and all the chemical processes. Western medicine is very comfortable with these elements of vitality, but tends to be far less so with matters of essence. And that's really too bad, because vitality requires very careful stewardship of both biological needs and less tangible essentials. And again, it's this latter category of concerns that moves us beyond mere survival towards the satisfaction or the meaning and the quality of life. So you can actually say Zoe is the internal motivator that keeps us pushing forward. It's actually what makes our biological life worth living. And that it kind of leads us to where vitality almost lives or thrives. And I know, although medical cynics might dismiss this internal motivator as unscientific, but they'd probably change their tune if they met a guy that's actually one of my heroes, Dan Buettner. Buettner's actually done work in National Geographic. He's actually spent the past decade exploring human longevity with the support of the National Institute on Aging and Alliance Life. And he travels the world looking for people who live extraordinarily long, healthy lives. And I'd say, in other words, poster children for vitality. Okay, he pins Dan Buettner pins his findings for National Geographic magazine, and he actually believes in these two concepts of bios and zoe, that they go hand in hand as well, which kind of explains why I follow the guy. But he describes vitality as the holy grail of aging, and he also takes care to note that vitality seems to have as much to do with social, emotional, and mental health as it does, again, with physical habits and the physical components and characteristics. And it's interesting because I read Buettner, and his team has identified and studied 4 vitality pockets, or maybe you've heard them labeled as blue zones. And the blue zones are simply the world's most successful zones of aging, namely Okinawa, Japan, Sardinia, Italy, Loma Linda, California, and the rural village of Nicoya in Costa Rica. And the average Okinawan lives 7 years longer than the average American. In Sardinia's Provence, men reach 100 years old at up to 10 times the rate of those in most developed countries, and largely they avoid the heart disease or diabetes and cancers that kill almost most people here in the United States. And interesting enough, while the diet and activity patterns play a huge part in the underpinnings of these folks' vitality generating lifestyles, Buettner mostly notes that things like a sense of life purpose and balance and the solid spiritual practices, especially family bonds and community ties, play very, very significant roles in vitality for these people in these blue zones. Not just, so it's not just in how long they live, but it is in how vital they remain as they age. It's a really amazing, and something to think about. There's as we're also getting clear that vitality is something we must value more deeply, or risk losing at our peril. I think basically with the decrease in vitality comes an increase in disease. And, you know, I highly recommend taking stock of your vitality as often as possible. So most want to know what that means, but a daily or weekly vitality review would be ideal. But even scheduling check-ins every 6 months or so, or quarterly, is a great way to stop major vitality, seepage before the energy trickle becomes a rampant torrent. So start by finding a place of stillness. Just consider meditating or journaling, praying, or just walking in the woods. Ask yourself how long or how you're doing, how you're feeling, and what you're missing or longing for. And just listen for the signals that say connections may have come loose and that others may be pulling on you too strongly. Unfortunately, we don't live in a society that encourages stillness. I say that all the time, yet that is what allows us to truly understand what we're feeling and then return to equilibrium. Personally, every single week, 2 or 3 times a week, I travel a half hour outside of Columbus, Ohio, and I go into nature. And it's extremely restoring, and I practice what I preach. The secret to vitality is to stay in a state of awareness. It's to slow down. It's to fill in the gaps. I very quickly, while I knew I was going to talk about vitality on this episode, I came up with about 7 ways to enhance your vitality immediately. And again, yes, although a wholesome diet or clean eating and regular exercise are the cornerstones of a healthy life, to take your vitality to higher levels, keep these tips in mind. Like I just mentioned, get outside. I'd say it's number 1. Get outside. I'd say nature or water or ocean is even better. The high vitality elders in Okinawa, again, Costa Rica, and these other pockets of longevity enjoy an active life surrounded by nature. Cultivate community. Number 2, cultivate community. A lack of close relationships has actually been shown to weaken our immune systems and sap that vitality. So maintaining strong social ties with others, it actually improves many, many aspects of both health and happiness. Actually, so does volunteering, by the way. Number 3, be a lifelong learner. It really blows my mind how also I think we are led to believe we just go off to college, get a 4-year degree, and suddenly we know everything, right? And it's sad to me because I've seen so many people, even 20 years later, have an attitude that they have a 4-year degree, and think that's knowledgeable. But the more education leads to a stronger, healthier life. Okay, actually, I read a study published in the Journal of Neurology that found an inverse relationship between how many years of formal education Alzheimer's patients have and how quickly they succumb to the disease. By the way, I also read an article where Warren Buffett reads about 800 pages a day. So I think it's quite a correlation. The the more successful you want to be, I think the more that entails updating your knowledge and your mental skills. So be a lifelong learner. Number 4 for me is just calm down. Get out of fight or flight. We're actually engineered for chronic stress in America. And the chronic stress releases hormones that can damage cells, can damage tissues and our organ systems, all of which can shorten your life expectancy. So practice quietude. You actually have to get away from the distractions and the diversions of the modern American life for this. Practice quietude. Go out, be quiet, and get solitude is also a good word for that. Just be quiet. It's one of my favorite things to say and coach. Number 5, honor your promises. Each time you break a promise, whether it's to a loved one or to yourself even, you're actually losing a sense of connection with your own values. So keep your promises in you gain integrity and you have that self-respect. These are 2 main ingredients for vitality. So honor your promises. Number 6, plug your energy leaks. Again, you're going to have to take some time off and evaluate. Notice where you're losing any energy. Reevaluate lifeless jobs or negative relationships, poor eating habits, sedentary patterns and other parts of your life that drain your energy. You have to plug your energy leaks. And number 7, I really despise, I hear a lot of A-list entrepreneurs and so-called coaches suddenly saying, well, you don't need that much sleep. We sleep too much. Now, that's not the problem at all. It's the quality of sleep that's the problem. So don't skimp on sleep, no matter what anyone is saying. Chronic sleep deprivation increases your odds of suffering from both heart disease and diabetes. Just to start, it also reduces your immunity and your ability to cope productively with everyday challenges. But don't ever skimp on your sleep. This has been a very informative episode, I think. So I really hope this episode has shined some light on vitality for you. If it seemed overwhelming, I'm here to always help you with your journey. And if you'd like to contact me, I'm on LinkedIn, Frederick Entenmann. You can seek me out on Facebook. Ask to join my Team Mind, Body, Life group. I'll happily put you in there. And I'm also on Instagram. Just look up Frederick Entenmann. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. I certainly have, because I'm extremely passionate about getting people to lead a purposeful life and a life full of harmonious mind, body, and life. Thanks again. Until next episode. Take care, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. Listen every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern to Frederick Entenmann host Mind, Body, Life. Connect with Frederick at www.globalvoiceradio.com. Tune in next week for another edition of Mind, Body, Life on Global Voice Radio.